Dave Anderson here with the Fisherman magazine. It's December 6th. These are your headlines. Hearing about some really good brown trout fishing in the rivers of Connecticut, and the holdover striped bass fishing seems to be great across the region. Stay tuned for all that and more on this week's New England Fishing Forecast.
The fishing news is sponsored by these fine partners.
Before we begin, we've got a few news items to share with you, and the first one is a quick rundown of what's going on in the Dreamboat Challenge.
What would the Dreamboat Challenge be without a photo finish? We had two fish hit the board in the event's final week. The bidding began with Rego Park, New York's Andrew Ortiz and his 8.55-pound tog that secured 7th place in the category. Then we had the ultimate hero move. Kyle Kraus made a run to Block Island and landed a 2.6-pound porgy, upgrading his previous catch to a 4th place finish. This locked him into a tie for first place with leaderboard Bobby Cifarelli. So we have to go to the tiebreakers, and the Dreamboat rules state that ties will be broken by the angler with the largest overall fish. Bobby Cifarelli survives the heroic moves of Kyle Kraus thanks to his 16.2-pound blackfish, which stands as the largest fish entered all year. These results cannot be made official until after December 10th and until Cifarelli has passed a required polygraph test. Stay tuned for the final results, coming soon. The Dreamboat Fishing Challenge is the Fisherman subscriber-only multi-species fishing competition with a chance to win a new 21-foot Steigercraft center console powered by Yamaha, along with many other great prizes. Visit thefisherman.com to subscribe and get all the details so you can be part of the action.
And now we'll talk quickly about the giveaway, which is ongoing. It's been a pretty steady stream of photos, especially considering the fact that we're into December here. We're going to give away this prize pack here. You got a whole bunch of different stuff in there from Band of Anglers and Savage and Berkeley and a whole bunch of other stuff in there. We're going to give that away on the last Wednesday in January, which I think was the 27th or something like that. So you still got plenty of time, and basically it's pretty simple. You just got to email or text your photos to me at danderson@thefisherman.com or to the number on the screen here. And it's just got to be you holding your fish, so it's got to show you and your fish. And try to compose a good photo. Doesn't matter if it's freshwater, saltwater, or you caught it on vacation. None of that stuff matters to me. Just has to be a recently caught fish, and it's going to show you and your fish. And we'll pick a new winner at the end of January, and probably start another one after that. So another couple months, and we'll see who wins. Starting off the fishing reports now. As we started last week, we're going to do sort of a freshwater synopsis, just because it's easier for me to cover the trends this way than having to talk about it 3 times as we touch on 3 different states. Trout fishing has definitely taken the front seat, or the driver's seat, this week. Seen a lot of good trout reports coming from a lot of different areas. From inland Massachusetts to some landlocked salmon fishing up on Sebago Lake. A lot of good stuff going on in those areas. Cape's been a really hot zone again for trout. Plymouth out to the Cape, and then the rivers in Connecticut have been putting out some really nice brown trout along with various other species of trout. But definitely seems to be hot this week. A lot of times when we get these little cold snaps like we're going through right now, trout fire up a little bit, and that has been the case this week. In the same breath, largemouth bass often take a step back at these times, and that has seemed to be the case as well. Just not seeing the same numbers that I was seeing before from the guys that I talk to regularly. Still some smallmouth being caught out on the Cape, though. A lot of finesse tactics are getting those fish. And but right now, if I had to pick something for you guys to fish for, I would definitely pick trout. Still seeing good fish coming out of the Merrimack, out of Wachusett Reservoir as well. So lots going on for the freshwater guys. Moving over into the regional reports now. Talked to James Jukes this morning. He said that he hasn't been out much this week. He's been doing more hunting than fishing. But the guys that he knows have been getting a few holdover stripers up inside the Merrimack River, up in the coves up there. There's been some perch in the coves as well. And you always got a shot at some pike in some of those upper reaches also. Moving out of that area down along the coast, really no saltwater action to talk about at all. Tuna did open and then pretty much immediately closed, so there was definitely a little bit of a giant bite going on, but that's over and done with at this point. And but any one of these stocked ponds, you know, from Plum Island all the way down through Boston and then as far west as you want to go, go on the DFW website and just look for the ponds that were most recently stocked closest to you, and you're almost definitely going to find some fish there. One area that's been particularly hot is Plymouth. You've got Long Pond, Little Pond, you've got Fearing Pond, and then you can jump down to Rochester and go to Mary's Pond. All these places are giving up rainbow trout, brook trout. You got an opportunity for tiger trout. And if you want to target a really big one, your best bet is definitely going to be Long Pond. Some bigger fish in there. Crossing over the canal out onto the Cape itself, pretty much the same story. You got Peters Pond, you got Hamblin Pond, you got Spectacle, and you know, all these ponds inside Nickerson State Park. All of these ponds will put out fish. Sheep Pond is another good one. But if you head to the DFW website, you're going to see that there are dozens of ponds on the Cape that are stocked regularly, and they're all viable options for guys looking to bend the rod right now. The best bass fishing I've been hearing about has mostly been on Cape as well, mostly in some of these bog ponds. Got some smallmouth coming out of Mashpee, Wakeby. But again, largemouth bass fishing has taken a little bit of a step back this week, but we've got a warming trend coming up, so you can look for them to fire back up in the next week or so. The only saltwater action that I'm really hearing about presently is, at least on the Cape, is in the canal, believe it or not. Still some striped bass in the east end, a big school of fish that just keeps kind of going in, coming out, coming in, and then going back out again. They're small fish, you know, they're 20 to 26 inch fish for the most part. But it's sort of a cool anomaly to be able to catch those fish in December, so that's an option for you guys if you want to just kind of add that to your list of accomplishments. And heading out of the canal into Buzzards Bay, I don't really have anyone that's still fishing for tog out there or sea bass. Actually, sea bass is closed. But I guarantee you that there are still tog to be caught around the Elizabeths and definitely out toward Westport. Probably going to find some codfish mixing in, but you'd be going on a guess if you were going, and that would be my guess because no one I know is still fishing out there. And then we'll wrap things up in Massachusetts with a quick report from Roy Leyve, a little inland action, see what's happening out west.
Hey, Roy Leyve here, checking in from Western Mass. It's been a little bit. I've been busy, obviously fishing and doing other things. Actually, this year, it got cold really fast this fall. Didn't really seem like, it seemed like we went from what was kind of summer, at the end of summer, right into winter. Enough, you know, cold that we've had some small ponds lock in, but not enough to ice fish. The only thing is that every week seems to have a warm day with some rain that just comes in and defrosts everything. So we will see. Hopefully we get an ice season this year. Much better one than last year. Last year's was kind of limited. But other than that, there's a lot of fish to catch out here. I think the state stopped stocking trout a few weeks back, so there's still plenty of stockies as well as holdovers. All the bodies of water, including the rivers, are pretty high. So fishing can be tough, but there's plenty of fish to catch. You know, your shallow water ponds, very productive, whether you want to chase panfish, largemouth bass, or smallmouth. If you're a pike enthusiast, this is a great time of the year to get pike. Also, as well as some really big yellow perch. I mean, they're starting to put their feed bag on. Yellow perch, pickerel, pike, they're the first ones to spawn after ice out. So this is kind of their pre-spawn. And they start to feed pretty well now, you know, and through the winter months. Other than that, I've been taking the time right now to really get my gear all set up, especially my ice fishing gear. Overhauling through my tilts, making sure I've got new leaders on them, that they got enough line on them, all my flags and parts are working correctly, as well as, you know, all my jigging rods, my auger is, you know, battery on it is charged up. All those little things, and blades are sharp. All those little things right now, this is the time that you want to do that, because the season comes up really, really fast. And, you know, things can get busy, and if you don't want to be doing it in the middle of go time. So this is a good time of the year to get your gear, your ice fishing gear ready. I'm going to continue as soon as after that, and I'm going to start getting my springtime stuff ready as well, just to get ahead of, because I plan on, if we have a strong winter, to really do some hard ice fishing this year. So with that said, I will continue my weekly updates as soon as we get some ice out here, and keep you guys informed on what's going on. Other than that, have a safe, wonderful holiday if I don't talk to you guys before then. And that's it. That's all I got. So take care, get out, catch some fish. If not, go play with your fishing stuff.
Moving over into Rhode Island, still really good tog fishing taking place in Rhode Island. Now, it's not gangbusters, so, when I say really good, what I mean is really good for this time of the year. And, when you get on the piece that has the fish on it, it is really good. The action's really good when you can get on the fish. Looking at deeper water now. You're looking 60 to 100 feet of water. Definitely rigs, not fishing jigs in those depths, that's for sure. And, we're still seeing some double-digit fish coming out of these areas. We're seeing a lot more codfish mixing in. I'm talking about like 10 to 1 here, but seeing more codfish starting to show up on the inshore grounds now, some sea bass mixing in. And then as you head out past Block Island, out past the windmills, then the sea bass action really starts to ramp up. Your opportunity for codfish becomes greater or more robust. And there's still some scup out there as well. In fact, we got a picture in the Dreamboat of a 2.6 pounder taken around the windmills over this past week, which is, that's a respectable porgy any time of the year, but it's kind of surprising to see one in December of that size. So that's another option for you guys. Heading back inshore now, we'll check in quickly with TJ Kopecky.
Thanks, Dave. Hey guys, nice to be back again. Checking in from the East Bay, South Coast, Massachusetts. Got a couple of things to catch up on this week as the season is dwindling down here in the East Bay area, inside of the bay. First thing, I got a couple of notes I wanted to talk about, and I'm not sure if anybody else might know anything about this, but I did get wind of the new the new bike path bridges being built over the Warren and Barrington rivers. The right to fish on them has been removed from the plans, or not the plans, but like when it was drawn up, I guess they omitted that. So I'm looking for some help from some guys out there, maybe the Rhode Island Saltwater Anglers Association. Maybe if you guys could reach out, leave a comment below, or get in touch with either me or Dave, just to let me know what's going on with that. That has been a staple fishery up inside the bay and in the rivers for a long time. And for them to not allow us to fish on those bridges anymore, it's kind of upsetting to me. It was a really great fishery when the bridges there. They're completely removed right now and awaiting to be built. So I guess I'm looking for some help for some guys and from any of the fishing community in the East Bay and Rhode Island that can help us out to see what's going on there. Hopefully we can get that squared away so we can get back fishing in those rivers, because I got to tell you, it's a great fishery. I grew up in Warren fishing those bridges since I was a kid, and I got to tell you, for them to take that away, it's really not nice and not good. But hey, if you can help, leave a comment or contact us, let us know. Moving on. We're going to stay in saltwater. I did have a chance to get out last Sunday, and we did go out in the northeast winds and the rains. But we're diehard fishermen. We still got the boat going. So we went out and we fished off Newport, and it was very snooty. We couldn't hold we anchored up, but we kept drifting back and forth. So we couldn't set up a bite with the tog. We did score on some nice sea bass, no keepers. But it was fun when we were out there. So we decided to move back into the bay, get to one of my favorite spots. And if you guys know me, you see me fishing out there. We fished the pilings on the Mahout Bridge. We caught fish consistently all day for the rest of the day. But literally, they were all 15, 14, 12-inch, a lot of critters. There was a lot of choggies. There was a lot of oyster toadfish, but all in all, we caught fish. We're out there. There's still tautog inside the bay, which is shocking to me. The water temperature was 49 degrees. So, I mean, it is showing signs that, hey, it's inside the bay is probably going to be over by the end of this week. Although, looking into the weekend, we're looking at 59 degrees again with rain on Sunday again. But, hey, you never know. We'll see what happens. I'm looking to get one more trip out there. It might not be this weekend, but it will be the following weekend. We still have some crabs, and I do have a crab sauce. So looking to get out there for that. Moving on into the freshwater in the East Bay. Brickyard Pond, the Warren Reservoir, all doing really good for white perch. And they're hitting a little small, 2.5 to 3 inch. I use the smelt from Gulp on a dauber like you would fish with a worm or a shiner, and I just move it along slowly, doing really well. They were hitting spinnerbaits. They're hitting pretty much, once you get a bite going and you find them, they're hitting everything you throw at them. The crappie fishing in Milford Pond in Swansea is still good. My buddy Joe's been out there. Once I gave him a little tip on where to go, he's been slamming them all week after he gets out of work. So I'm going to give that a try this upcoming weekend again. I mean, they are great fish to eat, and I like to catch them. They're very, very delicious for me. So going forward, I think the saltwater in the bay is going to die out, but I still think there's going to be a bite out in the ocean side, which it looks like it's actually still really good right now. So until then, tight lines, guys, and we'll catch you next week.
Heading out toward Point Judith now, let's check in quickly with Captain John Lee from JL Charters.
We are in December now, and I haven't been out that much. I'm going out on Friday for kind of codfish and tautog, and I think I'm going to go chase some holdover stripers, but I don't have much to report. But one thing I'm doing this year, which is different from any other year, is I'm actually taking stuff off the boat. I'm kind of organizing stuff, putting stuff away in the garage and in my shop. And normally I just kind of, everything like just gets humped together. It's chaos, it stresses me out. And this year I'm trying to do things a little bit more systematically. And we'll see how that goes. Anyway, I will give you a report on the cod and the holdover next week. Take care. Have a good one.
Heading out along South County, we're not really hearing about many striped bass on the beaches anymore. I'm sure there's still a few schoolies around for someone who really just wants to put everything they got into it. The striped bass that we are hearing about Rhode Island are holdover fish. They're being caught in the back rivers and the back ponds, up in the bay, up in the salt ponds. It can be a lonely endeavor at times. It can be hard to find these fish, or it can be hard to stick it out long enough to find them. Sometimes the action can be very, very good, though. It's something that I do a little bit of every year, and find some good success at times on the 5-inch no live bait needed paddle tail. So that's something that you definitely want to throw in your bag if you're going to go out and do that. But again, out on the beaches and inside the breachways, we're just not seeing anything to really report, and any other shore casting stuff is just not happening anymore. There's no tog to be caught from shore anymore. So it seems like for the most part, on the beaches, the surf fishing is wrapped up for the year. And that's what I have for you guys in Rhode Island this week. Jumping over into Connecticut now, not getting a ton of reports from Connecticut guys now either. With tog season closed, a lot of the guys have pulled their boats. There are still some stripers around, especially, most of these fish are moving, so you're going to find them outside of some of these rivers where they hold over at times. You're just going to find waves of fish that are moving in or moving out. So you can check around the Thames, you can check around the Connecticut River, you can check around the Housatonic River, and you're probably going to, if you put in enough time, you're probably going to intercept a few fish at some time or another. There have been fish moving up into the Thames, probably going to hold over up in there. It seems like that holdover population is just a fraction of what it was a decade ago or more. But there are still fish that hold over up in Norwich Harbor. You've got fish that hold over in many of the tributaries on the Connecticut River, and then of course you've got the Housatonic, which has a robust holdover population at present. Connecticut River is going to be one of your best options for just getting the rod bent. Go up into Hamburg Cove or Chapman Pond or any one of these other little, like Weathersfield Cove, any one of these little offshoots that goes off of the Connecticut River. They offer a wide variety of opportunities, from pike and pickerel to largemouth bass to some striped bass to all different kinds of panfish. You've got calico bass, you've got white perch, yellow perch, sunfish, and even some carp possibilities in there at times. So, I've done it many times in the wintertime, gone up into these coves on the Connecticut River and had great success. So that's definitely an option for you guys. For a little bit more on possible options for fishermen in that region, let's throw it over now to Captain Mike Roy from Real Cast Charters.
Hey, what's up, guys? For this week's fishing report, for saltwater fishing, the only thing really is the winter holdover striper population. They are moving into the rivers and estuaries where they're going to spend the winter. Right now, the bite is generally pretty good because the fish are still active. As you get into January, they shut down and become lethargic, so this is a good time to go do that. Now, you can go to the more well-known areas, the larger rivers, or you can look in some of the smaller rivers. A lot of small areas do have a holdover population as well. And really, the best lure to be using right now is going to be a small soft plastic, so a 5 or 5 3/4 inch finesse fish rigged on a small jig head, like a 3/8 to 3/4 ounce jig head. Good luck.
Now we'll head up the Connecticut River Valley and check in quickly with Rowan Lytle.
Hey everybody, so looking at the kind of volatile conditions this weekend, we got a significant warm front followed by a big storm coming through. Saturday is going to be the preferable fishing day. These are the kind of weather windows I really look for this time of year for some really good fishing. It improves just about every bite, with a couple exceptions. I mean, the holdover stripers often feed on sunnier days better. But with temperatures in the 50s as opposed to the midweek 30-degree highs that we're seeing right now, that should get just about everything chewing. Pike will definitely feed really well. One thing to really look at this time of year with these warm weather periods is, there's a little bit of a quiet walleye fishery up in the Connecticut River towards the Massachusetts border. That bite tends to pick up significantly when you have these windows. Those fish are settled into kind of deep holes. They're usually in proximity to tributary mouths, but they definitely feed really well before these big storms that roll through in December when you have temperature bumps like this. So that's something to look for. The holdover striper bite definitely kicks along pretty strongly. We have got good fish around. I had a client earlier in the week cook some really nice ones, land a couple good fish, got their first striped bass on the fly. And there's some quality fish in the mid 30-inch range and definitely some 40-inch fish around, although not as many as there have been some years. White perch also kicking along very nicely. I was out the other day getting some big, beautiful white perch. I've had some clients catch some really nice ones. So there's a lot of activity to be had. And with the warmer than average temperatures this weekend, I'd expect some pretty good fishing.
Now we'll head over to Westbrook and we'll check in with Matt Stone from Black Hall Outfitters. He was telling me today that he feels like the saltwater options are pretty much done, but he's finding ways to get the rod bent. So let's hear what he's got to say.
It is winter. We are into kind of the winter grind of things. If you get out, you're not going to see too many other people out there because it is chilly. There is still some stuff to do if you want to get out on the water. We don't have hard water yet, so still some open water stuff to do if you're in the freshwater. I got out yesterday. One of my favorite things to do in the wintertime, just to kind of be outdoors in the kayak, is trolling small plugs in anywhere from 6 to 15 feet of water in our local lakes. You'll get a mix of yellow perch, pickerel, pike, bass, crappie, all sorts of different stuff. So that's an easy thing to do if you get out there. Blade baits are really good this time of year as well, especially in those deeper holes in lakes or tidal rivers. Fish tend to settle kind of down into those as the water temperature drops. And it was 40 degrees yesterday in my local lake, so definitely chilly. Saltwater, kind of into holdover season at this point. So if you got your holdover spots or are looking for holdover spots, those usually consist of tidal creeks, rivers, the holes associated with those. And the name of the game in wintertime for holdover fishing is usually low and slow. Something that's small, something easy for those stripers to get. They basically want to expend minimal energy and get maximum food. So usually that's a soft plastic. You can kind of hop it along the bottom really slow. Or you can do kind of a slow rolled paddle tail, something like that, also low and slow. That's usually the name of the game. I've also had luck with blade baits on holdovers as well. So that's kind of where things are at right now. Hope everyone's having a great December, and if you do get out there, be safe and have fun.
And then heading west from there, this with the tog season being closed, again, there's just not a lot of guys out in boats right now. You do have the opportunity to find some sea bass if you head out to some of these deeper pieces. You're definitely going to be wanting to look for structure, 80, 90, 100 feet of water. But not a lot of guys are doing that. Probably still some stripers and maybe a straggler bluefish out by, some of the obstruction buoy and stuff like that off of Norwalk. I'm sure Max will talk a little bit about that. But most of the people that are fishing in the western part of the state are concentrating on the Housatonic River. Guys are finding fish around the mouth, and they're finding fish all the way up to Shelton inside the river. There's been some decent fish caught, as there usually are at this time of the year, and numbers have been pretty decent. The best time to get them is definitely at night, and a lot of the action's coming on larger soft plastics, stuff that's 7 to 10 or even bigger inches long, and throwing them on the lightest jig heads you can and still get them down into the strike zone. And for a little bit more on that and some of the other things that are going on in the western part of the Sound and the state, let's throw it over now to Max Finch from Fisherman's World.
It's winter time. The bass are still feeding. There's still some bass running our beaches. Middle ground still got a good bite. Locally, 11 Beach still got a diamond jigging bite. We're still seeing some bluefish on our deep water reefs. To our west, Stepping Stone, they got a really good diamond jigging bite going on. People that still have their boats in the water or trailering, it's still a good bite out there. So if you get a nice day or nice night, I would definitely get out and check it out. Also, the Housatonic has really picked up. Fish are all the way upriver, and there's tons of fish still to move into the mouth, and work their way up. Soft plastics, all your favorite kinds out there, Gravity Tackle, Albie Snacks, Slunker City, you name it. And then there's little herring showing up. I've seen some. I've caught some bass with some tails sticking out of their mouth. I talked to a couple guys. They're getting some here and there, but we should see that really fill in as we move into the winter. There's still some shad being caught too. They're running up the rivers. That will definitely bring out some bigger fish, bass on shad. And then, moving forward, as the bass really start to get out of here, everything's going to concentrate on the Housatonic River, and everybody's going to be upriver. Remember to respect each other, bring in what you take out, and respect the boundaries of fishermen. Everybody be polite. Thanks and good luck.
And that's what I have for you guys in the reports this week. Hopefully you're going to find it inspiring to get out there. I know it's the holiday season. I know you're supposed to be shopping and hanging up garland and lights and all that kind of stuff. But, it looks like we're going to have a warm spell here over these next few days. It's a really good time to get out there and, try to log what might be your last fish of the season or might be the thing that lights the fire to get you to go more and more. If you're not a subscriber to the Fisherman magazine, I highly recommend you head over to our website. That's thefisherman.com. You'll get a full taste of what we offer there. We cover all the fishing from Delaware all the way up to Maine. And, literally every angling discipline in between, from fly and surf and inshore to offshore to paddleboard and kayak, salt, fresh, travel, it's all covered. But if you look at all that and you're still not convinced, at the very least, give us a like and subscribe here on YouTube and hit that little bell thing down there so you get a notification every time we post something new. I appreciate you guys for watching, and we'll see you next week.
Guys, good morning. This is Ben Gilmour here in Costa Rica and the Marina Pez Vela. Guys, our high season is in full swing right now. The fishing down here is red hot. We've had a nice little bite of blue marlin. It's some really nice blue marlin caught here the past few weeks. We've had some striped marlin as well, and a really nice sailfish bite. Some of the boats here getting towards double-digit sailfish releases some days. We've had yellowfin tuna offshore, a lot of small tuna, 10 to 30 pounds, and a few big ones out there also. Just a few weeks ago, there was a 190-pound yellowfin caught here. A few dorados still kicking around as well. Yesterday we had a couple of dorados. So guys, looking forward to seeing you down here soon. This is Ben Gilmour and Jackpot Sport Fishing at the Marina Pez Vela.